Hello and welcome to another episode of Cake Fight Presents The Making of Kaleidoscope. I'm writer, director, producer Paige Feldman, and this week, as every week, I'm taking you inside my process of making my debut feature film. We're going from idea to premiere in real time. So last week, I told a few of you, just like 1,600 plus of my closest friends, about this tool called the mood analysis that I developed when I was a development executive. I used it to help writers, directors, creative teams analyze their film, analyze their script, and find places that they can strengthen it based on its structure and elements in it that are important to them. I was going to this week restructure my own script based on the mood analysis that I created for Kaleidoscope, the project that I'm making the series about. But so many of you, literally 100 times more people than usually watch my videos, watched this video and clamored for a tutorial on making your own mood analyses. I mean, I gotta give the people what they want. So I'm gonna roll these credits, and when we get back, I'm gonna show you how to make a mood analysis of your own for whatever film you're making, whatever genre you're making. Everything from drama to documentary, horror to comedy. I got you. And if you watch to the end, I will definitely be telling you how you can get this template all for your very own. Hey y'all, welcome back from the titles. I have taken care of my blind situation, so I'm not super backlit anymore, just a little backlit. And I am ready to show you how to create your own mood analysis. Now, know as we dive in that so many of these answers are use your instincts and what do you think is important in your story. But I know it's really helpful to have an example to follow, and I love patterning my own times when I'm trying something new after examples. So I'm happy to share tons of examples and the whole template for it so you don't have to worry about setting up a spreadsheet, which, I mean, this is a lot of work anyway. Who wants to set up a spreadsheet when you don't have to? So I'm gonna turn on screen share now and we can dive into this and I will show you exactly how it works. All right, so here we are in the beautiful mood analysis template. We have first, this row one is just mood analysis title. It's your heading, where title is, you will put your own title of your film. I like using all caps. It makes it more official and more important looking, especially when you have your own title in like the header of something. Next we have page number. So I have numbered these pages from 1 down to 120 because that is an appropriate number of pages to have in a screenplay. But if your script has fewer pages, you can push that little blue line up and delete those numbers. Or if there's more pages, you can go down more and add more. And if you have 263 pages, you're like me, and welcome to the club. I know I write exceptionally long, but it would be nice to know that I'm not the only one. Then we have all of these categories, which I will get to in a minute, but first I wanna just give a quick refresher on description. Now, if you haven't watched my video last week talking about a mood analysis, I would highly encourage you to go over there and watch that video and I give a more complete description of what this description column is. However, if you don't feel like clicking over there, that's cool. I'll tell you right now. Description is where you write what happens in your script. Every line in the spreadsheet equals 1 page of script. So everything that you write here would happen on page 1, everything you write here happens on page 2, etc. It's really important that we keep these specific rows the same height so we can easily scroll through and see, well, how much screen time is this scene getting versus that scene? There's a visual representation. So what you don't do is write out here, on page 1, Bob makes breakfast. No. What you do is you break your script into scenes. And like I said last week, a scene isn't where you have each slug line where everything happens in a certain location. No, we're talking about scene as a unit of narrative. So the stories within your story, the things, I'm trying not to use the word scenes here, but the occurrences that have beginning, middle, and end, and then you move on to the next one. And it could be something like Bob makes breakfast, he gets dressed, he reads the newspaper, he sees something in the obituary section and is shocked and runs out the door without finishing his breakfast. That all takes place in one location, and as soon as he leaves the location, we're done with that scene. The other kind of scene could be Bob drives to work frantically, goes into his office, and starts yelling at the security guard about why nobody called him and told him that his boss died. You get the idea. Bob can be in the car, and then running in the parking lot, and then in the office, and it's all one scene because it's all about his desire to get to the security guard and ask him why he specifically didn't tell him his boss died. Okay? To make this mood analysis is you read through your script and then you transcribe what happens in this description section. I always like to capitalize names of characters who are in the scene. Not if they're being talked about, but if they're actually in the scene, because then I can very quickly scroll through and figure out, oh, is Bob in this scene or is he not? And where does Charles come in? And where, I don't know, I'm choosing male names all of a sudden. Let's go Bobby with an I and a little heart on it. Bobby eats breakfast, etc. You know the story. And let's say that first scene takes 3 pages. So you write out the whole thing, hit merge and center. If you need to wrap the text, you wrap the text to make sure that it all fits in this little box. And then you'll fill in the categories, but we'll get to that in a minute. And you go through the entire script, so on and so forth. Now let's say you have a really involved scene on 1 page. You've hit wrap text throughout the whole document, and it wraps and it expands the size of that row. What do? First of all, you unwrap the text immediately. You want to keep everything even. And then you can either make this description box longer, or you can condense what you wrote. Because the point of this is a tool for you and as someone who's actually familiar with the project. You don't need to make it perfect. You don't have to write in complete sentences. You can use fragments, abbreviations, whatever you need, so long as you understand what's happening and can use it as a reference. The description, what happens in the script, is not the most important thing for this tool. This is merely a way for you to know what scene you're talking about and to put the pieces together as to what these categories that are filled in are referencing. I'm just gonna reset this. These categories are the things that you are going to be tracking in your script. They are the narrative high points. And let me just reread real quick the explanation of the mood analysis. Just remember what we're trying to track. A mood analysis is a spreadsheet wherein I lay out the beats of the film in one column, and in the columns to the left of the beats indicate when a scene contains an emotional or narrative high point. These categories indicate emotional or narrative high points. Things that are important to you to track in the script that the script has in a certain frequency. There doesn't have to be exactly 7. There can be more, there can be less. Really, I chose 7 because the layout of this spreadsheet as is in terms of like what you can see on the page, it just looks nice. A lot of beverages. Have you guys tried this Waterloo Black Cherry? It's really good. I think this is my favorite sparkling water. It's very important that writers have favorite sparkling waters. These categories should be filled in with certain emotional or narrative high points that you want to track. What is an emotional or narrative high point? That is maybe a difficult question to answer. Hey, it's Paige from the editing suite, and I actually forgot to say that the reason I'm showing you all of these mood analyses is because I want to show you all of the different kinds of categories that I've used in the past to hopefully inspire you and give you some guidance as to what categories you can find to use for yours. And that's also the reason I'm going to show you mood analyses from basically every single genre I could find, because I want to show you that this tool is versatile and you're not going to have to fit yourself as a square peg into a round hole if you want to use it for your film. So I had an example last week with my script for Kaleidoscope, my mood analysis for a romantic comedy, where there was a relationship shift where my 2 leads are together, sexy moments. Those are great things for a romantic comedy. But this tool actually I developed starting with horror. And I'm going to take you to one of the first ones that I've made. It's a mood analysis for The Conjuring. Yes, The Conjuring. And this is when The Conjuring was first out in theaters. So I sat in the theater in the back row with my phone flashlight and a pad of paper. And I on paper tracked all of these elements. And these are the initial 5 elements that were included in every mood analysis, and it's perfect for horror. So we have tension, and that is when there is a scene that creates an emotional, visceral, tense reaction. Jump, a jump scare. Action, when there is active fighting, running. Reveal. A reveal is when a crucial piece of information is revealed to the characters and or the audience. The audience needs to know the information in order for it to be a true reveal, because while there can be a sense of mystery, if you know that the character knows something but the audience doesn't, it doesn't quite have that same, ooh, intrigue point. And humor. Humor is really important, especially in a lot of horror films, because it helps release the tension. However, The Conjuring, I found there was no humor in it. As you can see, there's only one block of action, tons of jumps, tons of tension, and as a lot of horror films are basically mysteries with a lot of scary stuff, there are 4 reveals. Here you see I've replaced page with minute. I start at minute 0 for completed films because if you look at a time code, you have 0 to 59 seconds. That's minute 0. If you're interested, you can take a look at The Conjuring, make this yourself. Just know that I wasn't able to pause and see the exact time code, and I was doing this in a movie theater. So the mood analysis has evolved over the years, so I did another one with The Shallows, the shark movie with Blake Lively. And here you see minute 0. We have tension, jump, action, and humor, and reveal. But we also have some very specific high points. Sharks are very important in The Shallows. That's part of the point of this movie. I want to make sure there's enough sharks in it for everybody. Beauty was because this film was also marketed as like, wow, look at this view, look at everything you can see, look at Blake Lively. So anytime there was a beauty shot, would track that. Gore, that's an emotional high point. I mean, there's like a visceral reaction to it, so want to track when there's something gross and disgusting that might make people sit up and take notice. Reveals reveal. Emotion is a new category. Like when people show emotion, when you feel emotional, when you're getting choked up about something, when you're feeling like you might cry, which is a great category for almost any film, especially in like a drama or a dramedy or something where you're not sure, like, I don't know what my emotional or narrative high point is here. You can scroll down here. And again, I did this when The Shallows was released. I did it the same way as The Conjuring. I sat in the back of the movie theater with a flashlight and a piece of paper and a pencil, and I tracked all of this. So if you are welcome to do this yourself. In fact, it's a really helpful exercise, especially if you write horror. I did a lot of horror development. I've tried to write horror, but every time I do, people say, oh, that's hilarious. And I wasn't trying to be. You don't have to necessarily choose between this minimalist or this like maximalist thing. Here's another way to do horror. And we're gonna get into mood analyses now of films that I did that were in development. Some have been released, some haven't. I'm not going to tell you what they are because there are certain confidentiality issues, but I can share the mood analysis without all of the identifying details. So this was for a ghost story. So we had tension, jump, action, ghosts, just like the shark, ghosts are important to track, emotion, reveal, and humor. And this is like, we also have all of the scenes here, so you can see how long the scenes are. And it's interesting to note is that scene length doesn't necessarily get shorter as the film moves on, but tension heightens for sure, ghosts heighten, action heightens. Like, this is a great mood analysis in terms of the progression of these elements and the frequency. You'll also notice that as things get more serious, humor gets more sparse, which is pretty typical for a horror mood analysis. So if you're making a horror film and you want to use this mood analysis, I would say definitely use tension, jump, action, reveal, and humor. Think about emotion, especially if you want to have emotion in your script. And think about what creature or specific element of horror that you want to ensure that you have enough of. Ghosts, zombies, skeletons, weird noises, witch, dybbuk, demon, creature, entity you have. Consider tracking that as well. Now we're gonna move on to thriller. This one is tension, violence, action, emotion, reveal, and here's what I wanted to talk about this one, repeat information. So When I was working on this script, the creative team came to me and said, hey, we're getting some notes that this is feeling slow, but we think it's pretty tight. And it is a pretty tight script. It is 102 pages long, but they're getting notes that it was too slow. And when I read the script, I realized, oh, they're telling me things I already know repeatedly, and it's not important things either. So I found all of this repeat information. So that's another thing you can think about as you're making your mood analysis and determining what categories to use is, what problems am I having in my script that I want to try to fix? And I would encourage you to read your script before you even make these categories. And think about what sorts of elements you might be able to track that might help you figure out how you can make it better. You have sci-fi thriller. Now this one, there was a kill, there was a killer robot. The interesting thing I want to point out here is that it wasn't important to us how often the robot was in the script. We wanted to know what was the robot doing at all times. Now, if you're tracking your sci-fi thriller and you want to know what your robot is doing when there's a rocket ship, you can definitely put like sci-fi vehicle in here, or villain, or robot, or whatever you or what have you. Here, it wasn't that important. So you don't necessarily have to put these specific to your script elements in it. It can just be, hey, we want to know the general lay of the land, and that's fine too. Here, I have 2 psychological thriller mood analyses to show you an example of how 2 things of the same genre can be very different. So both of these are like 90s-esque psychosexual thrillers, think like Fatal Attraction, Basic Instinct. This one played with the idea of reality. So we were looking at reality versus dream. There was a film within a film, lots of time being played with. And there's sex, that's obvious, you know. Gotta track the sex, there's sex. Well, you don't have to, but if it was important to the script. Tension is very important for the psychological thriller. Sex is whenever there was a sex scene. Reveal, we've already went through humor, emotion, film within a film, reality, and dream. So we were just trying to see how often we were in the dreamscape versus the reality. How often we were in the film within a film, and was that during the reality or the dream? Scroll through here, see all of these things being tracked. Very little emotion. And then psychological thriller number 2, this one had some jump scares and violence and gore, and so we added those. Sex, seduction. Because there wasn't necessarily a lot of sex, but there was a lot of innuendo and flirtation going on, and so we wanted to make sure to track those as well. So clue is a category we included, and it's not because this was a detective story. It wasn't. It was because there were certain hints dropped about the actual identity of the femme fatale in this film. We wanted to track, for rewatchability's sake, what audiences would be able to pick up on a second viewing around. When they would be able to say, oh, that's who she was. Oh, she just let it slip again. And so clue was used. You could also use the word foreshadowing, but clue is a shorter word, and if you're trying to keep everything tight and able to be, zoomed into from the page through the end of the description at once and still be able to read it, better to use shorter words. You can also use this for action. Tension, kill, action, reveal, humor. This was like a Die Hard style film. Everyone was stuck in a building. So action we used as anytime there was fighting or running, and kill as anytime anyone got killed, because this was a pretty violent action movie. As you can see, oh my goodness. And then the very end, I think, was just a denouement, and it was mostly emotional. And so we didn't have an emotion section because I think it would only have been those 2 pages. Plus, it wasn't important. The emotion in this film wasn't important. The most important thing was the body count, which I think they did well. You can also be more specific. So this was a car chase movie, and we wanted to track the car chase versus the non-car chase action. Plus, sex was important, and gore/kill, because there was a little bit of gore and a little bit of killing, but sometimes we weren't certain when someone was actually dead, so it was easier to just keep them in the same category. And as you can see, this got a little bit better towards the end, but it was a pretty sparsely populated car chase film. Now, we've gone through all of these sci-fi thrillers, horror, action. Like, obviously you can use a mood analysis with those, but what about quieter movies? And yeah, you can do that too. So here's an indie dramedy. This one We're leading with emotion. Humor is important too. Dramatic turn, this is a great category for dramas, for quieter films. So a dramatic turn is where a character makes a choice that changes the course of the story. It's different from a reveal in that a reveal is a question that the audience has had is being answered. A new piece of information is coming forward that changes the audience's perception of a character or of an event. A dramatic turn is all about what a character is doing in their own world to affect and change their own world. Now, it can coincide with a reveal like it does right here, dramatic turn reveal, but it doesn't have to. So an example would be that if Laura was going to go to college and then she sees that this cabin that she's loved since she was a little kid, where she had her first kiss, is up for sale, and she has exactly the right amount of money in her college savings account to go buy that cabin and turn it into a flower farm. And then she goes and buys that cabin. That would be a dramatic turn, especially if, if this is that dramatic turn. The first 8 pages are all about her preparing to go to college. That's a dramatic turn. Another thing we have in here is similar to what we saw in The Shallows, which is beauty shots. Now, this script was very focused on picturesque images. And that was something from reading the script we noted this is really important, and knowing the people who were attached, the director, etc., we knew what it was going to look like based on their previous work. So we knew that these beauty shots were going to be high points for people. It was going to be something attractive that keeps their eyes on the film. We marked every time there was going to be one of those, and you can see there were quite a few, and that's part of the reason we tracked it. You can also go straight up for a drama. We have dramatic turn here as the most important one. Usually I say most important when it goes first, which is not necessary. You don't have to make it that way. But to me, it makes sense to put the most important element first, but you can put them in whatever order you want. So dramatic turn, humor, tension, emotion, and protagonist best friend, which I've abbreviated as Protag BFF. Obviously, before I altered this for your sake, this actually had just the name of the character, but we're trying to not make anybody mad with this information I'm sharing. So in this case, we're using this mood analysis to track when the protagonist's best friend shows up, because, hey, it's Paige back in the editing suite, and I remembered the reason that we tracked the best friend in this film, and it's not any of the reasons I said on the day of recording. It's that we were trying to cast this film, and the agencies that we were going out to with these offers said, hey, you're offering these A-list and B-list actors this part, a supporting role in this drama. They don't do supporting roles. They're not interested in supporting roles in indie dramas right now. And so we had to prove to them that while it was a supporting role in terms of it was the protagonist's best friend, this guy was a major part of the film, and so he should definitely consider taking the role. The agents should consider for them, because I doubt that the actors had even seen the script at that point. So that's why we tracked him. It was a production reason, but still a very interesting aspect to the mood analysis that we used in a pre-production capacity. So you can see he's in most of the film. So that was something important to track. You can also do this for a family or a animated film, and this one was specifically a mystery, so we have scare and action. But we've also tracking reveal, humor, emotion, and comic relief, which are comic relief characters, which, like the protagonist BFF situation in the drama mood analysis, it would have been the characters' names, but we wanted to track when they came in and whether they coincided with all of the humor or most of the humor. And they are there for much of the humor, but also they're there when there isn't some humor sometimes. It's interesting. So what I've just shared are a bunch of different versions of the mood analysis for scripts. But we can also use this as a tool for finished films or films in progress of being finishing. The Conjuring and The Shallows mood analyses that I did, that was more as sort of a learning tool. However, this was for a documentary that was in progress, and watched a cut of it, and we're looking to see, are there places that are too slow? Are there places that we need more excitement or liveliness? Here we have the minute zero, subject's history, subject's present, subject on screen, an animation. There was a little like animation vignettes in this. Talking heads, which could be the subject, because sometimes the subject was working, sometimes they were sitting in front of the camera talking, and moments of reenactment. And as you can see, there's lots of these talking head. They're not merged together because there were different talking heads at each minute, and it wasn't necessarily an entire minute of a talking head. It would just be a talking head and then maybe cut to the subject on screen and then reenactment. This is something that you can do for a film that's in post if you're trying to figure out why it's not working. You can absolutely use a mood analysis to figure out those points that you're feeling bored, why you're feeling bored. And sometimes we would even add a column here called points of confusion. You can just write down, you know what, I'm not feeling it right here. Let's look at that. Or I was confused right here. Let's talk about it. So you can add those kinds of insights or questions as well, especially if you're helping somebody out and doing this for them. And finally, you can also be a little bit mean with the mood analysis. I found this one when I was looking for one that was very purely comedy, unlike this Dramedy, which has more of a, with the beauty shots, dramatic turns, leading with emotion. It feels very languid and Sundancey. I was looking for pure comedy, and I found this one, which was looking at a film that was in progress, and I marked all of the times there were jokes and how I reacted to them. Now, it does feel mean right now, but it was actually very helpful to the creative team. If you are looking for a way to use this in your own writing, you could pass this on to a close friend who you're asking to read your comedy and say, how did you feel? How many times did you laugh on each page? What do all the jokes do? And see how many didn't land. So that's something else you can do with the mood analysis, is use it as a way to garner opinions and feedback without actually sitting around and asking people, what was your favorite part? What was the funniest part? What part didn't you find the funniest? And just, ask them to tell you where they thought your jokes were dumb. So those are all examples of real mood analyses that I created that I use to help develop scripts. And when you're making yours, when you're choosing your own categories, I would encourage you to use these types of categories as starting points. Think about what genre your film is, and also think about what thing that's specific about your film that you love, that you want to make sure is infused in the entire thing. Like the shark in The Shallows, the break from reality and the confusion of reality with dream life, with a film, in this psychological thriller. The thing that's great about this mood analysis is that you can choose anything important to you that you want to track and find the ebb and flow of your film. And hopefully it flows more than it ebbs. So here are the steps to take to make your own mood analysis. Number 1, write your title up at the top, loud and proud, all caps, you deserve it. Number 2 is read your script. Don't make the mood analysis just yet. Read your script all the way through. Notice the things in your script that make you feel happy, make you sit up and take notice. Notice the places where you're thinking, oh, this doesn't feel great, and ask yourself why. Then go back into your mood analysis and choose the categories you're going to track. You can definitely use some of these genre-specific categories to start making your list. But remember, like with the sci-fi thriller, you don't necessarily have to add sci-fi element or specific genre element into your script if you don't really want to track something. Although I would encourage you, if you have a shark or ghosts, to track that unusual, special element, because that's the type of thing that's going to make your script stand out, and you want to make sure you have enough of it, or at least that it's recurring often enough that people will think of your film as the ghost film or the shark film or the Die Hard murder film, like that action movie that was just kill, 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 kill. Fill out the categories. And if you're having trouble choosing categories, I would encourage you to go with the 4 that are the most universal of all of these categories that fit in pretty much any genre. And those are emotion, reveal, humor, and dramatic turn. And then finally, grab your script again, write out the description of each scene, merge and center these fields together, And once you fill out your description for each scene, don't forget to go back and fill out your category columns as well to ensure that you track when each element that you're tracking, when each narrative high point or emotional high point occurs. And for examples of that, you can look at all of the examples of the mood analyses that I've just shown you, where there's large blocks when it's a whole scene of tension, or small little blocks when there's just one segment of one page that contains a reveal. And you can choose how large you want those blocks to be, if you want them to cover multiple scenes, like with the dream versus reality in the psychological thriller, or if you want it to be like the documentary where every one occurrence gets its own line with its own label. It's up to you. And then when you are done making your mood analysis, when you've finished all the pages of your script, and I hope it's fewer than the 263 that I did, then sit back and analyze it. And if you want to watch a video about how to analyze a mood analysis, check out last week's video again. I will put the link up here. Nope, I don't know. The link's going up here. And if you enjoyed this video, if you think that you would like to get a mood analysis template of your own, I am happy to share this with you. Not only does it have this beautiful template here that you can see, the blank one, I will send it to you with all of these mood analysis examples and categories and the explanation of the mood analysis. All yours for free. All you gotta do is go to my website, www.cakefightfilms.com/tellmemore, and fill in the survey right there. It's just real simple. Your name, your email address, where you heard about me. YouTube's one of the answers. And click a checkbox that says you would like a mood analysis template, and I will email it to you. Now, I have not figured out how to automate these emails yet, so I will be doing it once a day, so please be patient. It won't just magically appear in your inbox right away. I will definitely send it to you as soon as I'm able. I'm only one woman, and I have a day job on top of this. But I will definitely send it to you if you want it. So please go there. Again, the address is cakefightfilms.com/tellmemore, and I'll put a link in the description as well. Sign up, I'll send you the mood analysis for free. That's it for this week. Thank you all so much for watching, and tune in next week when I will show you what I do after I make the mood analysis and make observations about it, which is, for this film, completely re-outlining the core relationship. Thanks again so much for watching. I'm so excited to see so many more of you here today, and cannot wait to continue to share my journey of making my debut feature as a writer-director with all of you.